Welcome to this episode of Incendiary. We are a man down this week, unfortunately. Things happen, and we will soldier on, though. We've got Blue Samurai Zero with us. Bionic Bra is still with us, and we're going to get through this topic today, or this week's topic is Elon Musk, hero or supervillain? And of course, we will have our guests come on and choose his ally and opponents. But we've got a couple of things that we want to do. You know what? I'll bring him on, and then we'll show a couple of these special side things. So let's bring him on. It's MadRuth this week. How you doing, MadRuth?
Good evening. How's it going, Dojo? How's it going,
Great.
Blue Samurai Zero and Bionic Bro?
Hello.
Doing pretty good, man. Glad to have you with us.
I'll warn you right now, guys. I am half awake, just so you know. I keep blipping out.
Okay.
We'll blip you back.
So pick him to be your an ally, and then Bionic Bra, and I can walk all over both of you.
Yeah, I need a win.
Whoever you want to. But first, I've got a couple of things I want to show, and again, they're self-serving, but I think that it's a little bit of fun from previous week, and I'm excited about it. So, without further ado,
we got Dojo Kun Comics joining us, sitting in the corner of a room.
That's because the rest of this room is such a mess. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got to get a nice poster behind you. We got to get a backdrop, behind you, and just celebrate Projectile Reptile, which is your comic book. Projectile Reptile is live right now as well. We're going to be celebrating the hero that is Dojo Kun Comic. I'm going to get to know you a little bit because I don't know you very well. In fact, I don't know you at all.
Well, we've talked a couple times, but very briefly.
You are Brian Menard.
That's right.
There's
infamous gunslinger Desmond Gibbons, better known across the Wild West as the Cactus Kid, comes to the sleepy town of Clarkson. Trouble finds him in the unlikeliest of sources, the sheriff. After their conflict, the Cactus Kid finds himself inexplicably wearing the badge of a lawman. Later, while on the trail of a serial killer, he and his deputy run afoul of a powerful druid, and the events that lead to the Cactus Kid's transformation into the hulking, four-armed projectile reptile are even more than the druid bargained for. From the Wild West to current-day Los Angeles, where he meets superheroes Black Eagle and Red Hawk, and forms an uneasy alliance with the stunning but deadly Kitty Hawk. Join the Projectile Reptile on a journey of gunslinging druidic magic, superheroes, and artifacts. Projectile Reptile from Dojo Kun Comics.
What is this guy?
On Indiegogo.
This guy's like half
Are you
lizard,
ready
half
for the
human?
truly Wild West?
That is an homage to old Iron Man covers where it's two different scenes. So you're seeing him before his transformation and after.
So he's a human, but he can turn into a reptile dude.
Well, he was a human, and he was turned into, involuntarily, the reptile dude.
Oh my God. All right, we've got that. We've got Dojo Kun. Am I pronouncing this right? Dojo Kun?
That's right. Those are the 5 rules of the karate dojo. You are saying it right. Yep.
Well, he told me you could just call him Coon. He says he likes to be called Coon.
Careful with that one.
John Malin might accidentally do that, but we'll try not to do that. So Dojo Kun's Projectile Reptile, gunslingers, druidic magic, superheroes, and artifacts. Are you ready for the truly Wild West? Brian, what do you do for a living? You're this isn't your main job, right? I mean, you actually
Nope.
This is something you're doing on the side.
You're right. I'm an anti-money laundering specialist and a fraud examiner.
Oh, we need you here. Yes, I love it. Magnificent.
So there's a little bit of kudos or confirmation from Uncle Lee himself.
You've hit the plateau, man. I'm proud.
That's right. So that was fun. It was a very long show, I have to be honest with you, but man, he's got some crazy videos that he shows, and I'm sure it's icebreaker conversation pieces, but yeah, that was a blast.
He's quite the entertainer.
Yeah. He's so good at it too. Yeah, he knows exactly how to draw somebody out, somebody who's quiet. He knows how to ask them the right question. Not me, I'm not quiet, but like Mike Barron, for example, who was on the show. Nasser's not quiet. I've heard a lot of things about Nasser being super controversial. Don't know much about that at all. He seemed okay on that show anyway. I don't know.
He had some early hiccups, like if you go the early history. So he had a falling out, but then I think he came to his senses and came back. But you know how people hold grudges forever? It's one of those things, right?
I see. All right. Well, hopefully people can get over it, and because it looks like he's got some good comics to put out. So maybe we just get back to that for him. So let's do this.
Welcome everyone to the official debate section.
The debate section. We are going to, we're going to talk about that and help set this up. Blue.
Okay, so we are trying to discuss and debate whether Elon Musk is a hero or a supervillain, and I think those are the two categories we're given. Not superhero because he can't fly without machines yet, but hero versus supervillain. I would go first, but I can't even find some of the things that I don't even believe are true, but about him being a supervillain. Like I can't even remember them all. I am not here tonight, guys.
Oh boy, I've got lots of overlays to show, but like for example, let's see, where's a good one? So thousands of Twitter employees have been fired and the platform is still working fine. Apparently they weren't needed after all. Elon was right to downsize. But then Dapper Bastard says, possibly. What is extremely common in tech is that everything runs fine until it doesn't. Then you quickly find out you're short-staffed and no one knows the little fixes and oddities the previous staff knew. Time will tell what happens with Twitter.
That's always the case
accurate.
with engineering. Yeah.
We've got Elon Musk taking out the trash, uses an ultimatum to clean out activists and identify top talent. So I think what this is referring to is in a meeting, I read that during a meeting where he had pretty much all hands on deck, he basically gave them the ultimatum, a certain number of hours per day that they were going to come into the office. Nothing else was acceptable. And I guess a lot of people left in droves, which led to that previous one where, he fires staff, people are leaving on their own. He's really downsizing. And I haven't seen any change in Twitter. A lot of people are saying it's dead in the water. It's about to end, but I don't see any sign of that.
Nah, people that are still there are just taking on more of an extra workload until they can get more people in if they need them.
Oh, see, that's like the American way anymore.
Oh yeah,
do more with less people. All right, but you know what? We're already getting into it. So, Bionic Bra, what do we need to do here?
All right, so MadRuth. Right now, it's all on you. You get to pick one of us to be one of you, part of your team. So whatever side of the debate you want to be on, whether you want to say Elon Musk might be a hero or a supervillain, you choose, and then you get to choose one of us to be tag team partner on it. And then the other two standing will go against you guys.
Okay, awesome. So for simplicity's sake, I'll pick, because it's down to two categories, I'll go with Elon Musk hero.
Okay.
And I'll go Bionic Bro. Me and Bionic Bro.
Okay.
Right.
So it's going to be me and MadRuth against Dojo Kun and Blue. We're on the side
we might actually have a debate this week. This could be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So you guys will be.
Of course, it's going to be cool.
Trying to validate the argument that he is a supervillain, and we will try to say, nay, he is hero.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. So I'm going to start off just with this. So like, na.
Okay. I see how it's going to be.
That is from, I did not create that. That's from online. All of these things are from online. Some of the memes I found were pretty funny too, with CBS saying they're going to pause things for a while, but never really left. But I mean, look at this. This meme is from Elon himself, so he sees the
hilarious.
joke there.
Yeah.
All right. So, MadRuth, we're going to let you start off, and then we'll pick up on any of the points that you make and either debate you or agree with you.
Okay. Fair enough. So, I guess the biggest point is you talked about billionaires in the world, right? Like, people don't realize, or if they know, Elon Musk is officially the richest human being in the world right now.
Yes.
And knowing what most people can do with that money, you want to talk about a supervillain, someone like George Soros pops into my mind when you talk about supervillain. Elon Musk, with his money, which he's earned or accumulated or inherited, for the most part, I don't see any extremely nefarious ways or ways that he came across that money that were done intentionally to harm the human race. He seems to be, to me, an individual who's just going through life doing the things that he just wants to do. I mean, he's got money, it's his life, and he can do what he wants. So you take the war in Ukraine, he realized that they didn't have the communication abilities there. So he moved all his Starlink satellites over their country. So they had the ability to fight a war and communicate. You could argue that that's picking sides, but at the end of the day, he saw an opportunity. He took advantage of that. You talk about the gaps with NASA. How embarrassing was it that we had to beg and borrow the Russians to get us into outer space to make up for the gaps we left in the space system? Not only did Elon Musk develop a rocket that could go to space, he also developed it could return, saving millions upon millions of dollars and just jettisoning rockets out into the ocean and causing unnecessary waste. So, I mean, say what you want about that. And then the man invented Tesla motor vehicles, electric cars. Like, they talk about all this virtue about climate and environmentalism and all this stuff. Here he's created a rocket system that can go and come back. He's working on electric cars, yet they don't like him because of his personal views and personal beliefs, which I think is BS. We got to get away from censorship. So I'll start there.
I'm trying to remember any one of the points you made that I could counter. I thought of some things to disagree with. I just can't remember them now.
Yeah. But
hit it, Dojo.
It's about his money, though. Like, you know.
Well, see, the thing is, I think that if you are a billionaire, you've got a certain responsibility. Yeah, you could say that you and I, the charity starts at home, because after all, sometimes we live paycheck to paycheck, and helping somebody else isn't within our means. But somebody who literally has billions of dollars has more than he'll ever need. So the kind of things that we would expect from someone like that. And I'm not talking communism here where he's got to dole out the wealth, but I also think that there's a certain responsibility to help humanity, because after all, he's been given far more than he could use. Now, I don't mean given. He's been given the opportunity to earn it, or earn it by making the right financial decisions. I don't know if you would call earning the same thing, like earning an interest on investments, for example. I mean, that's a certain, by definition, it's earning, but you're not really working for that. So, but I mean, I think the guy probably makes more in interest in an hour than I would make in a year. Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds like a Lex Luthor to me. I'm sorry.
The thing is, everybody says, well, if you have this much money, well, does he have it, or is he just manipulating it? Because what is it in the form of? If it's in the form of stock options, it's not cash. He's not liquid. So we got to be careful to make sure we know what's going on there when we rip on him. But just the takeover of Twitter was done in a way that would allow him to sell off Tesla stock without tanking the value of Tesla stock. Because if you just sell it off to get liquid cash, which I know is a weird thing to call it liquid, but if you're just liquidating for the sake of having cash, that will raise alarm bells amongst your investors. So he's very sly, is what I'm getting at, and usually that leans towards the touch of evil, because we're all sinners. But anyway, the thing about the Tesla deal, and especially its timing, was it enabled him to sell stocks the Twitter deal. It enabled him to sell stocks at Tesla without giving the appearance that the stock value needed to go down, which is what normally happens.
So I look at wealth a little differently than most people. I look at it as we can all basically swim in the size of the swimming pool that we can based on how much money we have, right? So based on the amount of money you have, I have, or anyone here has, I can only make so many mistakes in life before I go bankrupt, right? So for example, I can afford one house, one mortgage, 2 cars, you get what I'm getting at. That's about the ability, my ability. If I go and leverage 2 or 3 extra houses, you talk about what happened in 2008, that's it. It all comes down. Boom, it comes down like a house of cards. So you take Elon Musk. Yeah, sure, he's a billionaire, but I mean, he's got SpaceX on the go. He's got Starlink on the go. He's got Tesla on the go. Then he basically put a fifth of his money, $44 billion. That's about a fifth of what he has. He has about $200 billion into Twitter. I mean, that's a roulette hand. You're gambling a fifth of your assets on something. So you talk about generosity and all that. He can't simply just start doling out billions of dollars. He needs that to follow the dreams he has. He's just living in a different, I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean? His swimming pool is at a different level than ours, I guess is the way I see it. So,
you know. And he has to think about things like avoiding devaluing his own stock in Tesla, which would hurt his company. But how he got a lot of this money in the first place wasn't all inheritance or earned or because of some early invention. A lot of it came from him weaseling his way through the books and excuse me, finding out from the United States government how to get grants for things and building up from there. So it's not, his genius almost seems like it's more in conniving than it is in what do you call it, in actual invention. Because you even said he invented, you almost said the electric car. I know that was a minor slip, no big deal, because the first cars were electric. But he did the same thing Apple does. He takes existing technologies and assembles them in a very pretty package. Well, except for the truck model. That's not pretty. So.
No, it sure isn't.
It's indestructible. Throws the brick. Smash. Oops.
So what he's doing to Twitter, this article said, is what he did at Tesla and SpaceX, firing people. I mean, I know when a new CEO comes in, that often is their modus operandi. They get rid of the old guard because they don't want people loyal to the previous CEO, etc. But he's already talking of bankruptcy. Now, when a few minutes ago you said it's a roulette hand that he's investing in Twitter, a fifth of his fortune. But on the other hand, is that really as risky as it sounds? I mean, Twitter is strong. There's a lot behind it. There is a lot of advertising dollars there with all of the clicks they get. So I don't know how much of a gamble that really was. But now he's already talking about bankruptcy. So he's almost preparing everyone for him to, I don't know, is that a way of divesting himself of the debt that he might have? That sounds like that would be underhanded. And then telling his workers to be hardcore. And that kind of goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago about him sort of weeding out the I guess undesirables, if you will, the people who don't plan to work as hard as others. And on one hand, that sounds like that's a good idea, but on the other hand, an awful lot of people are out of a job now who that probably didn't expect that, to be honest with you.
So for myself, I'm a big fan of meritocracy. I mean, I was in the military for 26 years, and I've watched the weakening of the military. Not that it didn't even weaken to some degree in order for me to get in, because the generations before me even did even more crazier stuff than I did. But that old expression, a team is only as strong as its weakest link, right? Mm-hmm. You get a lot of these weak links, and you're patting people and soothing people. You talk about handing out money. It just enables weak people to be weaker, or lazier people to just be lazier, or uncreative people to just continue to collect a free paycheck, drawing a big name superhero that they didn't invent, but hey, they get paid to write a story that they could care less about, right? So
wait a second. Now who we're talking about is a supervillain.
Wow, you live long enough, you see yourself as the villain. But yeah, he reduced Twitter from 7,500 employees down to 3,700, basically half the staff. He didn't even have to cut. Some of them walked away willingly. He took away their coffee privileges and their restaurant privileges and said they had to get on a bus and commute into work, one day a week? And that wasn't enough for them. They're, no, I'm out of here. This is absolutely unacceptable. Rant, 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 rant. You know what? Something tells me that that's their attitude in the first place. You know what I mean? He didn't have to kick him out the door. He just had to point at it, and they were ready to leave. Do you really want those people on your payroll?
I've heard that he's making them convert to the Middle Eastern use of toilet paper.
What does that mean?
Wiping with your hand. Your right hand's for shaking hands. Your left is for uncleanliness.
One hand, shit in the other.
No, I'm sorry, I asked.
And if they use actual toilet paper, it's to wipe off the finger they clean themselves with.
God.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, cutting budget by reducing toilet paper usage.
Well, the great thing is he's got a closet full of hashtag stay woke t-shirts, and they can use those for a year or so.
Right, I saw that. I tweeted back that he needs a flamethrower for that closet.
He invented
is it just like
a company.
Discontinued.
Is that going to be just like Steve Jobs, and why he always had black turtlenecks was because he ended up with like 1,000 of them when earlier on in his career?
he was trying to play the Albert Einstein gimmick that he just had a closet full of the same clothes so that it saved his genius and he didn't have to pick different outfits. But I kind of call BS on that. I think he was just imitating Einstein.
Wow, that
or maybe he
sounds
just
like
black tank tops. But
sounds like a great idea. It takes an awful lot of stress out of stuff. Because, oftentimes you walk out of the bedroom and the wife says, "You're going out in that?" And which means, of course not. I'm turning around. I'm going to go put something else on.
It's true. I'm allowed to wear T-shirts at my job, and that doesn't mean I always should. I mean, if you're in an important meeting, you wear a collar. But I'm allowed to wear T-shirts at my job, and I just got a whole bunch of black and gray and red and kind of an off green that they all go with either blue jeans or khaki pants, and it doesn't matter what I yank off the pile. It's all fine.
There you go. So, Jake, what's your take?
I don't really hear anything that would cause him to be a supervillain. All I hear is him to be an entrepreneur and a businessman. I mean, it's exactly like you said. He came in as a CEO, new to the companies, and he's just cleaning house. I mean, I haven't seen anything villainous come from him whatsoever. Now, there were some allegations that came out towards him about sexual misconduct, but as soon as he started advancing towards that, nipping it in the bud, it quickly died down. And it wasn't because he paid off anything. It was because he stuck to it and was not really antagonizing, but he was definitely saying, where are the receipts? And as soon as she wasn't able to produce them, it quickly died down. And then he also answered back with, in the 30 years that I've been in this kind of business in this area, I've only had this one allegation. So, I mean,
So here's the thing about the legal system. We have a legal system that works for a reason, right? I'm not defending anyone that, say, exposes himself or drops their pants or, flashes and wears a raincoat. You do something like that in public, that's a crime, right?
Right.
You see someone doing that, you go to the police, you file a police report, and you have this recorded and then this person put into law, right? Just living in an age now where everyone can bring up an accusation from 35 years ago, that 35 years ago, apparently when you were this age, at this time, at this party, you did something really horrible to me, but I didn't bother talking about it for 35 freaking years until you finally became successful in your life and a millionaire and started accomplishing things. And then I just decided to kick the stool out of you and try to get some money out of you. That's not justice. That's not, you know what I mean? No. Why did you wait 35 years or 20 years or 15 years? You know what I mean?
Because you got collected some coin.
Yeah. So I've learned enough in life that people do things for nefarious reasons. I'm not saying crimes don't happen. I'm not saying bad things don't happen. All I'm saying is people have a responsibility, due diligence. If a crime happens to you, go to the police station and file paperwork, because that's your first step into bringing it up. And bringing up allegations about someone's mistake that happened 20 years ago. We all make mistakes in life. The person I was when I was 18, I would be absolutely aghast with. I wouldn't even invite that person into my house, quite frankly. Fast forward.
Now, hang on, MadRuth. I want to interrupt you for a second here. Yep. So, what you're saying is, let's say it was 35 years ago. Is that the actual number?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll just go with 35.
About my age, so he's I don't know. I think he's getting close to 50. So
okay, but if what he did was a mistake. Mm-hmm. I think we've got to differentiate between if he's a supervillain and what he did was intentional or what he did was a mistake. You said we all make mistakes. That's kind of you're kind of letting him off the hook by saying we all make mistakes. Oh, boys will be boys. But no, if what he did was really what he did and it looked intentional or whatever, yeah, shame on the person for not coming forward. But a crime is a crime, and I don't know if there's a statute on limitations on what supposedly he did. Maybe she was just looking for coin, but if he did what he's alleged to do, shame on him.
So those are the two biggest allegations against him: is age gap with him dating women, 20 years minus his age.
Oh my God, you mean like everybody in California?
Yeah. I don't see how that's a crime.
And then the other ones is him trying to influence people to give him a hand job and offering them a house or a car or a horse. You know what I mean? Just indecent sexual propriety in the office. You know what I mean? So those are the
20 years minus his age, but he's in his late 40s, so he's dating negatively aged women
and having kids with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got 10 kids, 3 divorces. I mean,
He makes these deals that he basically, I'll impregnate you and then I'll take care of you for the rest of your life and we'll hang out for a little bit, but then I'm not going to stay with you and you're going to raise our offspring and I'll make sure that you're comfortable. And then he moves on and finds someone else.
This
okay,
was
I will admit that's a little villainous.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like you're on my side now.
No, he puts it out in the open. He's not tricking anyone. He's not showing up the bar and playing all Rico Suave and pretending that he's a top-notch lawyer.
Okay, so maybe it just, floats along the line of morality, not exactly villainous.
You say he puts it out in the open. Isn't that what he was accused of?
No, we're talking about the age one. Those are the two that people use against him as how he's a misogynist.
That was tongue in cheek, MadRuth. He was talking about putting his physique, if you will, out in the open.
That's okay, MadRuth. You missed the math one too about negatively aged women. Like 20 minus 40 something is a negative number, but we'll move on. It's okay.
I never said I was a smart person. So
Jake, I want to go back to a point that you made.
Okay.
And that was that you don't see anything that he's doing that seems wrong. He's just a businessman. But I want to bring this one up. So he is not going to reinstate Alex Jones. Now, whether or not you think what Alex Jones did, saying that those were just actors, that the Sandy Hook massacre didn't really happen, whether or not you agree with what he said, or if in fact that's how he said it, the thing is, he could be incorrect with his opinion, and that shouldn't be censored. I mean, it's one thing to say that it didn't really happen,
right?
And maybe that makes some people feel bad, but certainly there have been accusations made on a public forum that were far worse than that. So if he's not letting Alex back on, my question would be, why not? What kind of censorship is going on with that?
That's all in relation to what Alex Jones said about Sandy Hook is what I'm assuming. But and I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but if you want, fair enough. Twitter is now your business and you can run your business however you want. But if you are going to state it as being a platform for anyone and everyone to use, then yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from. But at the end of it, I think anybody who owns a company and runs their company are going to kind of have some ideas that are their own that they influence into their own company. So, I mean,
well, that's well and good. After all, he is the CEO. Like you said, he now owns it. He paid a good chunk of change for it, so he can do what he wants. On the other hand, though, he's coming out in public saying that this is now going to be a platform for free speech. So we don't want him to be two-faced about it. If he starts putting his own opinions or, using his own opinions to decide who has free speech and who doesn't, he is affecting a very, it's a worldwide platform that we're all using for, and it's a shame that we use it for our news, but we really do. And, a lot of misinformation is shared. So either he's going to try to decide what is misinformation and who can't say it, or he needs to let everyone say what they want. And then we have to be intelligent enough to sort that out.
That's ever going to happen.
Us being intelligent enough?
Right.
If we're talking about the royal we, then yeah, you're probably right. But some of us are.
I'll just be in my corner.
I will agree that Elon does contradict himself often. Like you said, he mentioned he was a free speech abolitionist, and then all of a sudden he's going to turn around and he even acknowledged, he briefly there said he wasn't going to make any changes or let anyone back until he had a diversity team and sat down with them and they talked about everyone on a case-by-case basis. And he actually tweeted about that. And he said what happened was he got cornered by a bunch of people who surprisingly threatened to yank all his advertisers. You know this old tactic that happens, right? The whisper network. And a bunch of people basically told him that if he didn't play ball according to their rules, they were going to yank all his advertisers. And he basically admitted this. So he agreed to basically do it their way. And he says, and then they reneged and they pulled all his advertisers anyways. So he's part of his reason about talking about Twitter bankruptcy is he's lost the vast majority of his advertising is taken off. And then once they did that, he said the gloves are off. He said, you know what? I tried to play nice with you guys, but after this, I'm going to bring back whoever I wanted. And that's when he did the Donald Trump poll. And now you see all these people coming back and they're like, oh, you didn't do what you promised. He says, no, you guys didn't do what you promised first, right? So talking back to the Alec Jones one specifically, at the end of the day, we all have our own biases. And just exactly as you mentioned, he's a CEO and he's his company. There are people out there that I won't work with. I'm sure there's people out there that everyone here you absolutely wouldn't work with, right? You have every right to make those decisions. And I agree. He's kind of contradicting himself. If you're a free speech abolitionist, this isn't free speech. You're still picking and choosing, but ultimately it's his company and he's in a position to make those decisions.
Yeah. Well, let's not confuse two categories, him versus the people who tried to extort him, because that's what it is extortion. It's we're gonna do you harm unless you do what we want. And so he said, okay, I'll go along with it, which is stupid. And I'll do what you want. Of course, there's a contradiction right there, is going along with it's kind of stupid if you're a supervillain, because supervillains are supposed to be mostly smart until they waste time explaining to everyone their end of the world evil plan, and in that time the heroes usually come in and kill them. So anyway, but he gave into the extortion and then turned around and they didn't live up to it. One, they're not going to live up to their extortion. They're not going to live up to holding off the threat they want to follow through on, because that's who the SJWs are. They want to act towards you, evilly. But that's a separate category. They are not him. And so him giving into extortionists doesn't exonerate him of being a supervillain. It doesn't. He's not even a hero. He didn't take them down.
That's why I said at the beginning that you had two choices here, hero or villain. I have to decide with hero, but I'm right there with you. Yeah, I agree. You've got to be decisive in your decisions and your stances. You got to find out who you are as a person and where you stand by. You can't be wishy-washy. And that's the one, I think, weakness that Elon Musk has, is that he wishy-washes and flip-flops.
Well, he's kind of like Trump in that aspect. Like he likes being, a little incendiary on Twitter and whatnot. He likes being able to go out there and, cause a little ruckus now and then.
Oh, that's a perfect segue for this one, Jake.
Oh.
So he mocks the media, claiming neutrality over takeover freakout. We'll have to fact check that. And then I got another one. I don't know if the sound is going to play on this one. Let's see if that happens. Oh, it's just, okay, I'm sorry. It's a still image. So this one here was a very funny video. He calls a meeting, okay? And I think it was actually produced by the guy in the bottom middle here. So Elon's there, and he says, who owns a Tesla? A show of hands. And he says, okay, everybody who didn't raise their hand, you're fired. Sandy, let's listen to some music. And, they're all sort of dancing, and Sandy's not moving. He goes, Sandy, you don't like the music? You're fired. So he basically fires everybody but this guy in the middle. I don't know if that's actually him playing along or if somebody, did some clever video editing here, but it was very funny. And if it was him playing along, he's a good sport. But villains can be humorous. They think that they're the cleverest person in the room, after all.
Mm-hmm. Well, after watching his interview with Joe Rogan, I would have to say he's either got a very dry sense of humor or none at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Rogan was trying to make him laugh with, some jokes here and there. And Elon would just look to the side like, yeah, nice try.
But he also smoked a lot of weed and was drinking. He might have,
that might have been a different interview that I didn't watch. That might have been the one from the 2 years ago, not 4 years.
Yeah.
Check out the Babylon Bee interview with him.
Oh yeah,
it was just weird. It was just a very weird interview.
How
he didn't really know how they were going to approach him, and so most of the time he just didn't know what to do, and so it took a while for him to relax. But they did finally get him to relax.
Oh, okay. Because when I watched his interview with Rogan, he was very he wasn't rude, but he was curt. He was very short with his answers, and he let Rogan lead the podcast most of the time, and he would just answer. And I noticed that Elon doesn't like going on these long tangents when he's talking to people. He likes to be very precise and distinct, and he wants to get his thoughts out there. But you can see when he looks up into the air or at the lights, he's trying to get all of the information out and trying to cipher through it just to get maybe a 10-worded sentence out, because he doesn't like to, prolong his his
Speaking time.
argument. Yeah, debate, whatever.
Yeah, he's doing the.
Stop being so defensive.
Fair enough.
So, yeah,
He's doing the filtering thing where it's trying to sort the relevant and the and things that might confuse people and leave in, what is relevant and hopefully wouldn't confuse people. And okay, if I'm going to tell you this relevant part, does it require me to also say this other part that might mislead you into thinking something else or create lack of clarity? He's doing all that really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, out of all the things he's done, all the things, the mishaps he's had, mistakes he's had, I don't see any of that stuff being villainous in comparison to other billionaires. Now, I know that's a weak measurement to make, but I mean, you take the stuff Bill Gates was up to, you take, I don't know, some of the stuff going on with Jeff Bezos, you know what I mean? Like, and any of the other ones that are in comparable situations, the billionaires who eventually, like, who's the one who had the Ponzi scheme there, and he was a great guy until he went down. Madoff, you know what I mean? Like,
he made off with everyone's money.
I think these people turn out to be, really horrible people, and maybe in time, eventually, one of those skeletons may appear in Elon's closet. But I'm just not seeing it at this point in time so far. So
I don't see him. I don't see him in cahoots with Soros or Schwab, for example. But
no.
I don't even see enough for speculation for villain at this point. I see him doing more innovative stuff for the good of the people, whether or not he's getting funded to do it and getting maybe some backdoor money, but he's trying to do better what companies that have proclaimed that they can do haven't done yet. So I mean, if he's just going to take the ball and roll with it, I say you hike that motherfucker and run.
Well, that was interesting. Thank you very much. Well, that was interesting.
You go back in history, right? Like, so you go back to the beginning of the NASA and the space program, the rocket program. Who did we have make the first rockets for the space race? We had what's his name there? Former National Socialist. The guy who invented rockets, Werner Braun. Yeah. An actual Nazi making rockets. Fast forward to today, you have Elon Musk, who is just a rich billionaire who takes rockets and makes them better. Like, you want to talk a supervillain versus now? I mean, that's night and day. You know what I mean? That's a supervillain, in my opinion. Werner Braun. That's unbelievable that he wasn't tried and went through Nuremberg and convicted of his crimes.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. It's funny how things change in 30, 60, 80 years, hey?
I've been trying to scan the internet to find whatever I found before that is like, here's all the evil about Elon, and I can't find it.
You're looking for receipts.
The big one is the offices, like him apparently coming on to female employees and offering them like a house or a horse or a car to like give him sexual favors. But he's not as far as I know, based on allegations, wasn't forcing himself on them, wasn't cornering them, wasn't Weinsteining them, or you know what I mean? Like,
it sounds more like an Aziz Ansari episode.
Yeah.
Oh, behave.
Like, I'm not defending it, but
fuck.
Well, everything I saw was about finances and family ties, not hitting on the help. But I think I know what it was. Is I get emails from a guy who's kind of gone off the edge. Well, not off the edge. He's sort of built a plank and is out standing on the plank over the cliff with conspiracy theorists, and he sends out in a newsletter now, and it's like, wow, half of your news is really good, and then you always have the one, no, this is too weird article, and then a video link at the bottom of the email. But anyway, in one of the this is too weird articles, it was a link to a BitChute video listing all of Elon's evil. That's why I can't find it. Okay, never mind. Because it's all about money and where he got it and from his parents and whatever. And I think it tied to blood diamonds and something, which is not true, by the way. And no, but yeah, I can't find it. Oh.
Well, I have no problem calling him a socialite. Like, yeah, most definitely he is. But that doesn't hold any weight when it comes to, doing good or bad things. I mean, you get played the card, you get handed the deck, and you play what you can with your hand, man.
I mean, you talk about the power of money. He's the richest man in the world. Like, think of how much evil he could do with $200 billion. Like, he could be funding coups and overthrowing governments, and you know what I mean, causing genocide, and you know what I mean. Like it could be mind-boggling what he could do with that money.
Yeah, the next Orange Revolution, or funding where people go ahead and funding campaigns. I almost said something else, but funding campaigns for attorney generals in America to make sure that law does not get enforced. He could be doing evil stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Completely undermining the democratic process.
Wait, has anybody thought of doing that before?
Somebody doing coke? I'm hearing a lot of sniffing.
Oh, no, that's me cleaning photographs.
Oh, okay. What the fuck is going on here?
How do you think he's getting through all this,
Yeah,
Jake?
he's waking his ass up. That's what he's doing.
No, I don't put my cocaine in there.
All right, guys. I'll tell you what, that was a fun discussion. I want you to understand that, and Blue put this in the comments, so I want to pull that up. Understand that we say things we don't actually agree with. Keep in mind that MadRuth chose who his opponents would be, and we may or may not necessarily agree with the points that we made here. We just wanted to have fun with this and get people talking and thinking about it. What we're going to talk and think about now is MadRuth's campaign. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to go down to present, press a few buttons here. Where did I put it? Oh, here we go. And then I got to go back to StreamYard. Man, they don't make this the easiest thing. I'll tell you what. There we go. All right. So, MadRuth, why don't you walk us through it? I'll be in the driver's seat, but you tell me where to turn the car.
Okay, so for starters, you come into my campaign, and this is my very first time as a creative writer, by the way. Again, I was in the military. I did a lot of writing throughout school, and I also wrote articles and stuff like that, as well as when it comes to art, you know, drawing murals and logos and stuff. I was a doodler through school, right? So I've always had an artistic streak to myself. So going into this campaign, I always had a bucket list of things I want to do with my life. One of them being was serve in the military, collect a pension, and you know, get myself to a quality of life better than I grew up. I grew up really poor, but in any case, I'm doing much better now. So sorry, I just keep talking all day. So part of what I wanted to do when I retired was I wanted to write, and I was actually going to write some novels when I retired. So back in 2005, when so I was a big fan of Star Wars, the expanded universe, mostly the expanded universe stuff. In 2005, after the Return of the Jedi came out, George Lucas said, Revenge of the Sith came out. George Lucas said there'd be no more movies. And I realized right then and there that something that I loved, which is Star Wars, was going to come to an end. So there'd be a gap in science fiction. And that's when I first began dreaming up this concept. It started with me knowing what I know about human civilization and civilizations throughout history. Basically looking a lot into, you know, how humanity has come out of the Younger Dryas and the Ice Age and how we've come to where we are today. Just being a fly on the wall and imagining where humanity would be another 6,000 years in the future. Like if I could just have a glimpse into the future in 6,000 years, where will the human race be, right? Now you could argue that we won't even, you know, anyways, I want to be positive about this. So I imagine we get as far as conquering the solar system. We conquer every moon and every planet, you know what I mean? However, life has very little meaning. It's much like the first world, but now scattered across the solar system. We're depleting of its critical resources. We still haven't made contact with extraterrestrial life for whatever reason. That's all kind of tied into this story. But however, from a Jurassic Park perspective, we're good at terraforming. We're good at creating our own life. We can biologically manipulate DNA and all that stuff and create our own creatures and make, you know, orangutan sentient and ferrets sentient and all that stuff. So that's what kind of gives it, you know, that kind of aesthetic appeal in the comic. As well as we went through artificial intelligence and the singularity happening, and then artificial intelligence ending up being extremely evil and wanting to exterminate us. And we got into a 200-year war with them. And then it just sort of ended with them signing a truce, much like World War I, just coming to an armistice and a truce, and them being exiled to Mars to do their own thing. Well, all this unravels in the overall story when you follow my band of characters. Again, it's a very brutal life, how they all interact with each other, how they all meet each other, how they stumble onto this great conspiracy that's being used, and how they're all being played as pawns, and then how they basically become the heroes in the story. And I've got all that crammed into 92 pages. So
92 pages. That's not cheaper. That's not something to shake a stick at. That's a
Yeah.
lot of story.
Yeah, and that's interior pages. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's your typical 48-page graphic novel, same size as like Starblades, for example, for thickness and size. Yeah.
Do you have exterior pages?
Yeah. I just got that page count always screw. 48 pages versus 92. 92 interior means 92 pages of story.
Okay.
And,
So-
and it was, I think the original error was you counted sheets of paper as as pages, and it became like shorter than it was, and stuff like that. So-
And then people say I'm walking away. This guy doesn't. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So going back through my campaign, So if you go through all those toggles underneath the main trailer there, or you can play the trailer if you want. Yeah. So under there, I've got a link to my YouTube channel as well, where I actually pull out the original art that's in my campaign. I pulled 4 of those because I decided I want them. But if somebody's watching this video or they really decide that they had an eye on those, you can DM me and we can work something out. But in any case, I had 8 original art tiers in my campaign. They sat there for however many weeks. So I said, forget it. I pulled 4 of them and they're now on my wall because I want to keep them for myself. But you watch that video, it'll show you those tiers that have basically the 11 by 17 original comic board sketch, as well as a little sketch that the artist did in the original ash can, the prototype ash can that I created to secure the copyright. So he did a sketch in all those. Plus that tier comes with both books. And the new ash can that I'm creating and the trading card set. It's this massive bundle I created for $225. Just jam packed. So that video is for that. And then there's other promo art if you want to go through all those. So Gonzalo, my artist, he was very much watching this Indiegogo as I built it. Like you got to do this and you got to do that. And you got to do this. And so a lot of those images under there is promotional art that he made for the campaign right before I launched it. And, he was very excited. He very much wants us to continue on with the next book, but I told him I've got to raise the capital before I do that, right? I can't keep paying out of pocket. It was okay to pay for this first one out of pocket, but we're going to need money to continue basically wanting to.
It's funny. I have a friend like that who wants to rebuild my car, and he keeps telling me, you can do this and you can do that. And then suddenly it turned into, we can do this and we can do that. And I'm still looking at it going, you're still talking about my wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where's the we at?
So I basically said, like, I live in a community of roughly 100,000 people, and it is very conservative community. We're on the other side of Maine, so most people don't realize there's even more country on the other east of Maine. Yes, we're isolated out here, sort of like the Shire. We've got the French-speaking Canadians to the north we don't interact with, and I've got Maine just 20 minutes to my west, right? So very conservative people.
You live south of Mordor.
Yeah. It's true. But I've got 2 converging universities, a major military base, so I'm very confident I'll be able to sell a lot of copies of my comic just in the community and art fairs and midnight markets and just grinding, you know what I mean, in my community is going to be my next step. So between this campaign and that, if I can raise, $7,000 or $8,000, I'll have enough to do the line art for the next one. So
excellent. So
I'm
let's say hey to Smiling Bandito who made it.
Hail and well met. Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at I know you mentioned the tiers on your campaign, but let's go down and have a look at them. So you've got.
Are you in the first or last 30 days?
Oh, good question.
I'm in the last. I've got literally 7 days left, and then I'm hoping to go in demand. But as you know, Indiegogo up until now has been waiting till 2 or 3 days out, and then they been hitting people with a shadow ban, and then they've been denying them in demand. However, it sounds like somebody's had a talk with someone over at Indiegogo, and I'm hoping we've sorted this out. So
yeah, Graham Nolan has finally he's gotten past some of the screeners, and he actually has the email address of the Indiegogo CEO. So this Monday, he intends to contact them.
Nice.
Let's see if that gets
on a
anywhere.
live stream.
Yeah.
What's
that?
I said, let's get that on a live stream.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed I do go in demand, because I would like this to stay up until I come to printing it. But I don't know if people realize how far along I'm done. The lettering's done. The line art's all done. I've got 20 pages left to color. I'm already in pre-press for the line art version of the book. And those last 20 pages are going to be colored by January. So I'll have all the books printed by February. I'm hoping to fulfill in March. So this is literally, I just campaigned. I'm hoping to fulfill within 6 months.
Excellent. That would be great if you could do that.
Yeah, coming out with a bang, right? And a lot of people.
Right.
But
yeah, show that you are dependable and that your stuff is quality.
Yeah,
and it's amazing that just you want to get it done on time. You don't want us waiting.
There we go. Hail, Matt.
Hail.
Wow.
Is my audio super loud? Hold on a sec.
I don't know. Something's going on in the background that's super loud.
Yeah, well, I'm at work in a trailer yard, so there might be a few things.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can get some distance.
Well, right now, I'm not hearing it. But,
Perfect.
Hey, MadRuth, I first saw you on your opening day on Red Valkyrie's channel.
Yeah.
So have you met a bunch of people since then?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The one thing I love about launching this is you get to learn who people are and who people are in the community and what's going on. So I've been blessed and fortunate. I got on CG Talks with Jeremy. I've been on 80s Made. I've been on with Luke a couple times. Metal Hero. I'm now on your channel. I mean, I was on Michael Bancroft was generous enough, had me on. The Diaz brothers, Phil had me on. I mean, I've been just working my way, and none of this was pre-planned. This was just me reaching out in DMs and saying, hey, like,
that's how it's done, dude. Yeah. You just got to, you do the grind. When you're on one show, you meet somebody who's the host of another one, or you see them in the chat or something. When I was campaigning for Siamese, I was on 80 shows. So the grind is real. It's the hardest part, in my opinion, of creating these comic books is the marketing of them, because the other parts, we can all learn to be businessmen. We can, we're the creatives. That's why we're doing this. But when it comes to marketing, it's not an easy task. So it's good that you're out there, getting in on the grind.
Well, I'm just grateful for that's what I thought this community was about. That's what I thought we were all trying to do, was all trying to pick up each other and help each other. So I will admit, I never really took my YouTube serious. I never realized that, I've got to build my own StreamYard, my own platform, and I've got to reciprocate. I understand that. I just put everything into making the comic book. Really honest, I was just having fun. I was in the military. I just loved the process of learning how and doing it. And I just figured I would make the book first, get the book done, and just put it out there and see what happens, right? So that's in a nutshell, that's what I did. There's nothing nefarious or evil, you know what I mean? Like, this guy, he's a e-beggar. This guy, he's a parasite. The nonsense you encounter out there is unbelievable. But
yeah, I haven't seen any sign of that.
Well, that brings us back around to the whole Elon Musk discussion, because that's pretty much, he does something. He's got a ton of information informing his decisions, just like anybody else in their kitchen cooking dinner has. And then people come at him with, "You're not doing what I really think you should be doing with your money, therefore you're evil."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I haven't received a lot of that, but you'd be surprised. And it's just like, whatever, you know what I mean? Hey, you can't please everybody. Whatever, you can't let that get you down. Just keep being positive.
It's true.
Yeah.
So before we get to wrapping this up, since Smiling Bandito is here, Smiling Bandito, are you in a position where you can give us that closing argument?
I think so. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what the conclusion is, whether Elon is truly villainous or benevolent and heroic. But when I first heard of Elon, he was just
stop moving your phone. You're when you move your phone, we can hear that more than we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just don't wiggle your phone around in your hand.
Okay. But yeah, when I first heard of Elon, he was just a skinny, nerdy kid driving a McLaren and dating a supermodel. Typical 90s stuff. And his timeline starting with selling his first piece of programming at age 12 and buying that McLaren once he had sold some garbage blogging software for $400 million. After he aged up a bit.
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh no,
something happened.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see if I can get that window open to read his statement if we can't get it back. Where did I put it? Okay, age 12. McLaren, once he had some garbage blogging software for $400 million, I wonder if that's in Canadian. Anyway, after he aged up a bit, Now today, he's blowing progressive minds into space and by buying back some of the current garbage software and firing all of those who have done us dirty for years. Not quite the full circle plot line I would have written for him, but still somewhat satisfying in the execution of it. High-tech labs, secret schools, not so secret, not flamethrowers. Okay, I think that's a reference to something. Plans to create a new civilization of in his own image, burrowing through the earth just to skip traffic. All lend themselves to a keen, decisive intent to circumvent the current global problems, possibly leaving those who lack faith behind. Hero, supervillain, or maybe even vigilante, the most telling aspect of what Musk is probably comes from those who try to hold him back. Sold-out politicians, fifth-wave feminists. We're up to 5 waves now? Anyway, liars, cheaters, thieves, people unable to solve the global problems they claim to be the most who claim to be the most capable to do so. We all know that they're the ones causing the global problems they want to solve. Anyway, maybe that makes recognizing Elon as a hero an easy shot, straight to Mars. They obviously suffer from jealousy, fear of exposure, and a need to project their assets and asses. Or is it that sorry about that? Or is it that Musk simply requires too much and cannot share his empire? And those who rise against him, as villainous as they are simply the competitors of the same interests. All right, that's supposed to be a question. Sorry. In a world that feels like we are falling in a world that feels like we are on the failing side of the Joker plotline / punchline, and filling up with Gotham-esque villains every month, the real question is, would we be able to recognize the difference between a villain we need and a hero we deserve? That's the end.
Wow. That's a good question, too.
So is he the villain we deserve?
Food for thought. We're coming up to the top of the hour. I do have a couple of trailers that I want to play. In fact, one of them is MadRuth's. So let's go to the top and play his trailer for Soltac, Betrayal, Volume 1.
So in that other clip we saw, where Brian, you were on a stream. The first thing that came out was asking you if your name really is Brian, first and last name. So now that you've been doxxed, which nobody asked. So MadRuth, I won't do that to you, but I will ask: how long did you work on the world building in your head and the plot for this book?
Yeah, so I was getting into that earlier. I'm sorry, I'm scatterbrained. So about 2005, I did the whole what would humanity be about 6,000 years in the future, and then you gotta realize, I'm in the military 26 years. Like, can you imagine you spend 3 days waiting to catch a bus sometimes. Sometimes you're left with a broken down vehicle for 2 days and a box of rations, and you literally have nothing else to do to entertain yourself. You don't have cell phones, you can't be tweeting. So this is something that I've been turning for basically 15 years in my mind, imagining this world. I've got the next book already pretty much written in my head. I could lay it all out for you right now, and pretty much the next book after that.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Well, the reason when I first saw you on stream with the day you launched, I'd never heard of you. No offense. And I was pretty taken by things that sounded like they came out of a lot of development. Like there's probably going to be a lot behind this that we'll never know that we're not seeing. And so I was really impressed with the imaginativeness of some of the things you've said about, and I'm sorry they escaped me. I am quite tired, but that's why I backed it. I mean, I'm backer number 4 only because I do parse through all the the perks and kind of see, like, okay, what's the bang here? But otherwise maybe I would have been backer number one if I were just a little faster, Anyway, but no, I'm impressed with all the things you imagined, the everything leading up to the war that separated the AIs to Mars and humanity on Earth and all that. So anyway, good to meet you, man.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
Before we wrap and say goodbye, MadRuth, tell us where we can find you on the socials, because you did talk about your own show too.
Yeah, so I'm Craig White, by the way. Not afraid to say it all. I'm Craig White on Facebook. That is my real name. Yeah, it's my actual name. Even when I mail out my packages, you'll get my home address too. It's fine. Go ahead. You're welcome to come out here in the sticks in the woods and find me. But yeah, Craig White on Facebook. I believe I'm MadRuth on Instagram, or I'm Craig White on Instagram. MadRuth on Twitter. I've also got like a toned down version of my Twitter, which is just MadRuth Comics. I think I might have emailed you that. The MadRuth one with the burning Jack Nicholson, that's the one where I'm twerping. I get on Twitter. It's free therapy, and I just start arguments sometimes and troll and stuff. But the MadRuth Comics is just straight promotion, and it's my comic book. It's censored. What else do I have for platforms? Instagram, Twitter,
YouTube,
Facebook. Oh, sorry, YouTube. Yes, thank you. I've also got my YouTube channel there. I've got 140 subscribers on YouTube. So the entire time I've been making this book for 2 years, I've actually been putting out a video a month. So people don't actually, because they don't know I exist, right? But you can go all the way back to when I did the very first design sketches and drawings, and then I got the ash can out, and you can follow my whole journey along for 2 years in making this book just to see where I'm at.
Once a month means you're putting out, regular and steady content. Yeah. So that's pretty good. That's what it's one of the things that is recommended for those of us who are creators that want to get our name out there. Blue, where can we find you on the socials?
I've opened up a channel on Rumble. I don't think you can find it if you type in Rumble/Blue Samurai 0, although you can find people, or I think it's like Rumble/C, the letter C, lowercase / Blue Samurai 0. I think there are people you can find that way. I'm not one of them. I have a weird little number with a hyphen in it. But if you just search the web for Rumble and then Blue Samurai 0, you can either slam it all together or put underscores or space it out. I don't think it matters. And somebody found me that way. And that's the social. Don't expect anything new for at least another week, if that. I'm trying to keep everything prioritized before I can put up content.
Priorities are good. Okay, how about you, Jake?
Of course, you can find me on Twitter under both of these names, Bionic Bruh and TaleEnd Studio. You can find me on Facebook as Jake Adams, and you can also find me here Wednesdays at 9 p.m. with Dojo here on his show Incendiary.
Thank you, sir. And what we're going to do now is real quick go to, where did I put it? This. I got to share it on StreamYard, though, before I can play it.
About to say, what's that?
You'll see.
Nice.
Huh, you didn't have to do that.
Hey, no problem, man. I think that campaign, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it until I see it change, is woefully underfunded. I mean, that book looks amazing. The first book was great, and you can count on Jake to fulfill. He's a little upset about where he stands as far as timing goes right now, but a lot of people are experiencing that. Trust me, you will get that book and you'll love it, because the first one, sets up part of the stage, and it's really worth it. It really is. I think he's got a great IP that will go on for quite a while, so long as we back him. Now, it is fully funded, so if you back now, you can back with confidence that you'll get the book, but also too, just how amazing it looks. And the original artist is back on the project, so it's going to be consistent and fluid. I think it's going to be great.
Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
I wasn't expecting that right there at the end. That caught me off guard.
Craig, it was really nice having you here. Hope you're having a good weekend. Do you do Thanksgiving in Canada?
Yeah, I think we had ours a week ago. Ours, it was last weekend.
Okay.
You guys just try to jump in there before us. That's what it is.
Well, they're efficient. They know what they're doing. So
that's right. So yeah, Craig, thanks so much for being here, sharing your project and debating that topic with us. It's certainly a hot topic right now, and I'm sure there will be a lot more to come with this. It's like a daily. It's on the daily that it's happening. That people are talking about this.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. And so is Incendiary. Join us next week, folks, for another episode, and hope you had a great time on this one.